setting up my camera. I'm just going to actually put my mics on as well. That's if I bought them. I'm not sure if I have. Let's have a look. Yes, I've got them. So I'm just going to plug this in. Right, let's get started. Bear with me 2 seconds. Right, this just needs to go in here. I'm just going to attach this little light here, as you can see, and then I can actually also clip in the receiver to the top of here, and then it should all reach and connect. So, let's, sorry, this is a very close up view. So as you can see, I've got a bit of a continuous light. I need to make sure I keep that bit safe. And then I'm just going to clip this in to connect that receiver into the camera, and then I'm going to attach this. Right, let's attach the mic. So you can either do it with a little clip like this or a magnet, and I'm going to go with a magnet. Right, hang on. Let's move it. Let's move it a little bit over. I've got to keep my coat on. It is so cold. Right. There we have it. I'm all set up, ready to go. Hello, good morning, good evening, wherever you're watching this from. My name is Hannah from Handmade Designs, and I run a creative business that essentially creates content for brands. Now, you can hire me to create that content for you, send the products, receive the photos and the videos. Essentially, it's what's kind of trending as UGC. So that's user generated content. And that doesn't require me to actually post it to any of my socials or anything like that. It's just me actually creating that content for brands. Now, besides me doing all of this, I also just enjoy being creative. And that's why today I'm just going to have a little bit of fun in my studio, creating some things for Easter. I'll be using my xTool machine. So if you enjoy watching laser cutting, making products, creating products from scratch, stay tuned, because that's what's in store today. I'm not sure how much you can tell either, but it's such a cold and just damp February day here. It's not very pleasant. I'm just really looking forward to spring, some warmer weather. I know here in the UK, the winter blues is very real, with January and February being quite dark and damp months, but the last couple of weeks, I feel like there's been a glimmer of hope. The evenings are getting a little bit lighter, and I was still working out in the garden till like 5:30, 5:45 last night. At home in our cottage, we've been doing a lot of work on the garden. We've been giving it a lot of TLC, just ready for the spring and the warmer weather. We've been doing a lot of pruning of the trees and just planting and just, getting the soil ready. I've really been enjoying being in the garden. So when I've not been in the business, I've basically just been in the garden, and we've spent many hours getting it to the point where it's at, and it's like nowhere near even slightly where we want it to be, but it's a start. In other news, I have made my phone a dumb phone. Now, you might be wondering what that is. Sorry, Dad's wandering outside with the dog, and it had just completely thrown me off. Towards the end of the year, I was feeling just a little bit overwhelmed with my phone. I'd actually shut down for Christmas. I was taking some time off. I wasn't posting on socials, but the thought of coming back just kind of overwhelmed me. So I hopped back on my socials for a few days, and just the overwhelming amount of I just felt like I'd completely lost direction with everything and what I needed to do. I decided to make some changes. So what I did was completely delete everything off my phone. So at the moment, you can only call and text off my phone. And I actually did a reel on Instagram, which I will post alongside this. I thought, I've got all my equipment. I invested in my business, in the equipment, the sound, the lighting, everything like that. I essentially don't need to go and buy a new iPhone. My contract had come up and they were ringing me up going, hey, do you want a renewal, blah, 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 and all of this. And I was like, no, I don't think I do. One, I didn't want to take out the contract. And secondly, I just didn't feel like I needed to. At the end of the day, my iPhone 12 still did what I needed to do. And all the content and everything I create for the other brands is essentially sent to them from my computer. So I don't need it to essentially post, but I did need it to kind of market my business. So I was like, right, how do I go about this? So I downloaded everything to my iPad. So anything that's socials, that's my Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Threads, that's all on my iPad, and removed everything off my phone, emails, like literally everything. So it calls and it texts, and I put it on loud and it goes in another room. And for a while, if you've been following my socials, I basically put a whole load of different content on my social channels to kind of see how it was perceived. Is it what people want to see? Is it not? What works? What doesn't? How do I feel making it? All of these questions. I basically did a little bit of a brand kind of social audit, and it came back with some interesting conclusions. Some of those I retested to see if that's what I wanted to do, and this, that, and the other. And again, I tried different social platforms. Instagram still is like the home of where I create the content, but the reach there is just diabolical. Like it is awful. I'm not here to kind of blame the algorithm or this, that, and the other. Just it's what it is. And weirdly enough, I don't know if anyone else has actually had this, but the less I post, the better my content performs, which is really weird for a platform to kind of to push out your stuff, because essentially you'd think the more you're creating content, the more it's going to push that out to people because they want to keep you on the platform. But it's kind of had a bit of a reverse effect. So I've very much like stripped that back this last couple of weeks. TikTok, I really dislike the platform, and the only reason I go on is to experiment with the content and to understand the platform for the work I create for other people. I really don't enjoy how throwaway everything is on the platform in terms of just scrolling and flicking content away, when I know how much it is to, not even if you're not even producing and putting the time in with the content, but even just the mentality around it and having to kind of think of the ideas and then get your camera out and start and just all those things. And although I think obviously it's wonderful, we can reach so many people, it's also just the downside of how overwhelming being able to do all that actually is for a business. What I then did was looked at my LinkedIn, and just I don't have many followers on there. It's not something like I actively plug, but I do keep active on there. And yeah, on YouTube, I said at the beginning of the year I was going to try and stick to around one a month, which is what I'm going to try and do. And essentially, I'm going to go and get this 2 seconds. Here, let's have a look. Essentially, I want my channels to just be a place for my creativity. And that's kind of what I've come to. So let me just give you an example. So the story, my stories, bear in mind I've got like 30,000 followers. Because I took massive drop back when I went on maternity leave, and then I just picked it up as and when. Everything dropped, and that's completely understandable. I totally get that. Now, my stories, when I post daily, only reach between 300 to 400 people. In comparison to not posting for a couple of days, the stories are at 2,500, and that's still with a good couple of hours to go on the post. And again, with my content, it's seen similar things where like before you'd post something and it'd get immediate traction. Now it's actually things that have been on for a while that seem to create traction in the background and gather results. So yeah, I've just been really experimenting with the type of content, but essentially what it comes down to is I want to just use these platforms as a form of creativity, just purely whatever that looks like. I actually created a personal account to explore this, and I have so much fun. I enjoy taking my camera out. So anytime we go to like national trusts or days out, or we see a beautiful like woodlands or a building, I love to take a photo of that, and I love to capture moments and memories. Game with this channel, like I love creating things, I love making things, I love editing videos. Like I don't exactly love talking to the camera. That takes some getting used to, but I do love the editing process and just making things really more than they are, and just that really like honing in on that storytelling aspect of creating your business and your brand and all of that. And I love doing that with other brands and companies as well, and really just showcasing a very mundane and just making it beautiful. That's very much kind of the aesthetic and style that I like. And it's not about taking authenticity away and being real. You know, you can still be very real and have those honest conversations, but I love falling in love with my own craft and my own skills and using that to make, you know, push my skills and get better at my own craft. That's just kind of the angle of which I like. Last week, I actually worked on a project doing some notebooks for a company, and it was just a case of putting their branding onto the notebooks. Now, I was using my xTool for this, the F1 in fact, just because the workspace I needed only needed to be this big. And I did each job with 42 seconds. The logo on the front took 30 seconds and the website on the back took 12 seconds. Overall, the 25 notebooks took me around an hour and 15 to do, including setting up the file. And it proves to be a very profitable kind of way to make, you know, a quick bit of money. But I completely forgot to film it, and I realised just how much I love using my machines. So even though I've been using the machines behind the scenes, I haven't actually shown any of you guys on my channel. So I thought, right, today, why don't we do a whole dedicated video to being creative? I haven't actually created any of the files today. So everything you see will be in kind of a real-time effect of kind of coming up with the ideas, creating the products. None of this is pre-planned, and we're just going to completely go with the flow with what we've got today. I did just pop to Hobbycraft, which is our local like big chain craft store, to pick up some Easter supplies for my daughter's bookshelf. And as you can see here, I'll insert the little video as I was at the till. I picked up a little bucket, which I'm going to put some felt pens in. I got this really cute Easter bunny pen, which I think she'll like. And there's a sticker and a colouring book, which I think she'll enjoy. And my plan is to kind of create a little bit of an arts and crafts Easter exploring shelf thing at home. Don't know if it will quite make sense how I'm describing it, but I will show you the end product when I get home. And I like to basically mix up all her books and make them very seasonal. So all the learning we kind of do at home, I kind of do it in seasonal chunks. And I like to just make things, add things, just to make the bookshelf a real incentive to kind of go towards. And essentially, I love doing a toy and a book swap. So sometimes she might forget about things, and I basically bring them back to her interest and incorporate that in her learning. So yeah, let's head to the laptop, because essentially the first thing I've got to do is design the products. And at the moment we have nothing designed. I think I'm going to start with some bunting. I might do some cute little plywood bunting, or I could do it out of paper. I'll have a think. I'll have a look at what materials we've got, and then we'll go from there. I'm going to actually work from over here because the radiator is on and it's nice and warm. Right, let's put the table up. I much prefer working from waist height upwards. Right, let's have a look at xTool. 2 seconds, I need to hop on the internet. I haven't got Wi-Fi down here, so we usually just hotspot from my phone. Perfect. Right, and I'm going to do something really basic and just draw a shape. So I'm actually going to go with a triangle and turn that around, because I'm thinking of actually doing some bunting. And I'm going to do 2 circles, and then I'm just going to simply copy and paste and put the other one over there, and it actually snaps it in line, as you can see. That looks about right. And then I am going to add my letter. So I'm going to put H, and I'm going to go with the typeface, childish type one. And I actually want to set that to engrave. Let's head it over to the machine. What I think I'm going to do is actually try and do it out of all of these scraps that I've got. So I've bought my box of scraps with me, and we're going to see what we can kind of make out of it. Right, let's find the wood that I'm going to use. Next, I'm going to take my laptop over to my laser station. Okay, so we're going to turn the machines on. So here's my laptop, and I'm just going to connect the xTool in via USB. Now everything should be connected. So this may be a little bit noisy now. I'm just going to take this now, which is just a 3mm basswood ply, and test the framing of the machine. Yep, so that's going to stop framing. I'm going to then go to process, make sure that all these are cut lines and that the H is going to be an engrave. I'm actually going to take that all the way down. Right, we're going to try this one as a first example. Make sure the lid is closed, and we're going to click start. Go. Currently at 37 seconds. Whilst that machine cuts, I'm just going to sand down the pieces here. So I like to give them a good sand just to give them a nice smooth finish. I don't necessarily do the edges, it's just the top surface, and it also helps to get rid of any burn that's left. My dad's also just made me a cup of tea, which is nice because it's so cold in here still. It's just, I've got my small oil gas heater on, but for the size of the building, it's really not warmed it up very much, but it'll keep me warm, keep sanding the wood. My next one finished. Let's take that off the machine. Right, can I get another? I don't think I'm going to get another letter out of that one, so I'm going to get a new piece of wood. That should do it. So again, we're just going to go in, and it's as easy as just changing the letter. Okay, that's all good. Stop framing, click process, click start, and hit the button. Get in there. Right, let's next got to do the E. So I'm going to just change the letter out. Frame, perfect. Stop framing, process, and I'm going to click start and hit the button again. Again, whilst that one's running, I'm just going to sand the next one, so that's ready. It usually works out by the time I'm sanding this one, getting the next piece of wood ready, having a sip of tea, that the next one's ready to go. Right, I've got one more to do. The last letter is just currently on the machine. It's the letter R. And then I think I'm going to do some threading activity for her, which I still need to design that. So that's what I'm going to go and do now for her. Okay, let's bring you over here and I'll show you what I've just done. So I don't know if you can see the computer from there, but I've just created a template of a bunny with some circles which will form the threading. I'm just going to get my wood. This isn't going to be that big. It's only going to be quite a cute little size. I've actually got this set to really low, so it's on 100% power and 3 for the speed. Right, I just need to take this over to the desk. Hang on, I need to alter the camera. There you go, come back with us. Right, and let's untilt you because that is not a flattering angle. Right, I'm just going to quickly bang this on the table. I have got so many of these little holes. Right, let's give this a quick sand. I've just seen a really cute cutting file on Etsy, which I'm going to have a look at now, but I do need to swap over from my F1 to my M1 because I need that bigger surface in order to cut. So that's what I'm just going to set up the file now. I'll just be doing that in the background and then I'll jump back on with yourselves in a moment. So this next bit is as simple as clicking switch device. So now I've plugged in the M1 and it's picking up that it's the M1 laser box. So I'm just going to click that one. Okay, so obviously the parameters and everything is going to change. And I'm going to drag and drop in those wildflowers. So let's pull them in here. It's just a case of dragging and dropping. I'm going to do next, I need more space to put everything, is put my laptop there. And then I'm going to raise the hood and place my wood down. And then what I need to tell the laser machine is to refresh that picture. So I just need it to take a picture. There we go. So you can see my piece of wood. I'm just going to put these next to one another, just so we can use as little space as possible, like that. Now I'm not going to get all of these on together, but I just want to do them together so I've got the right size. I'm going to have a look at my settings. So if I just highlight those and click cut, I want to take the speed all the way down, and we could even go with 2 passes to make sure that it's going to cut. And then I click start, and then we're going to go ahead and hit the button. This is about to end any minute now. At the moment, we're currently running at 11 minutes. It's had 2 passes on the wood at 100% power and a speed of around 3 to 4, which is quite slow, but I wanted to make sure that the wood would cut. I think it looks like it's about to get towards the end of the stem on the last petal. Anyway, let's do a little bit of a reveal. Let's see, they have cut beautifully, as you can see. That looks quite a nice, cute stencil. But here are the flowers. I don't know if it's picking it up on the focus. I think I'm going to see if I can try and do a couple more. And I'm just going to sand these off whilst I wait, but I can't get any more out of this wood. I need to have a look if potentially something like this. So I'm going to have a look if that gives me enough room on the computer. Just by looking here, it is going to fit. Let's click process and click start. Once again, whilst that one is cutting, I am just going to go ahead and sand these ones down, just because, as you can see, there's a little bit of burn here, and I just want to minimize that. All it needs is a quick sand. At the moment, her bookshelf is looking a little bit bare. We have been doing about bugs and the garden. So this is the current book that we're looking through. Just because we're doing a lot on the garden at the moment, and we're coming across a lot of like bugs and insects and slugs and things. So just doing a little bit of learning about that. And this is one of the most used items. It's the ticket magnifying glass, which I like to pair with stuff like these books. I like to match the book with the ticket magnifying glass, only because we take this out in the garden and actually use it to look for bugs and get close up into the leaves and just talk about the textures and things. But for today, for the spring, this is what I've got. Let me just take it off the tripod. We've got some spring books that are just from our book collection, which is the Shirley Hughes Nursery Collection on Spring, and it's just some really lovely poems about spring. You can't quite see with the reflection here. And just about like muddy puddles. It's a really lovely book with poems in. So that's that one. We have got just another spring selection of our nicely themed, just bright and colourful spring books, which I'm going to add to the bookcase. And I also have all the things that I picked up earlier, so the bucket and the things that I were made, and I'm going to add that to the bookshelf now. Also, I don't think you can actually beat the smell of the out of breath, I've just run it up the stairs. Can't actually beat the smell of the traditional wood polish. This one is a cherry and magnolia smell, which smells so good. The next job is to do the letters on my bunting. So I'm thinking of doing Happy Easter and measure out the length that I need. Let's do 2 of those. I'm now just going to repeat that exactly the same, but with the Easter word. Just threading it through my bunting. Spring greens, bulbs in pots, twigs in jars, dads in the street washing cars, greens in season, trees in bud, sky in puddles, ripples in mud, birds in the bushes singing loud, sun tucked up in a bed of cloud. Let's roll with that one. This is the cute little pen that I bought from the shop, which I think she'll love. I'm just going to go and run around the house and have a look at items that I can find to fill the bookshelf. I'm back, and first bit is a mix of spring pastel Crayola felts, and I'm just going to fill the bucket. I'm going to add our Yoto, which is our most loved toy, and I've actually got 2 cards which are excellent for this. I've got Springtime Stories by Enid Blyton, and we've got Percy the Heartkeeper collection, which is a lovely story, and that one's actually my childhood favourite. But what I'll do is I'll pop that on there for her to choose from. I'll then put the colouring book and just some stickers that I got from Hobbycraft, and this was a couple of £2. It's just a really sweet little colouring book, so I'm going to pop that there for her. And then lastly, I'm going to add the spring books, so I think we'll balance out the purple with that one up there. And then I was thinking of just adding her little wooden figurines and a little bit of a spring farm animal selection. So we'll add, I'm going to add the threading activity that I made and just a pink lace. I'll actually leave this if I thread it through to start, but then I'll leave the activity just resting. And then lastly, I just need to find somewhere, but the wooden flowers that I made, I was going to pop them up there. Thank you so much for joining me. I've now got to go and pick up the food shop, and that's not very exciting, but just adult life and things we've got to do. So thank you as always for joining me on this journey in running a business. I hope you've enjoyed today's vlog, and until next time, goodbye guys.